A chubby otter was leisurely floating on the river, nibbling on shells and playing in the water. Suddenly, from the distant forest, a faint howl came, making him stop. His small ears perked up to listen. Without hesitation, the otter dove deep and swam quickly towards the strange sound. On the riverbank, a small wolf cub, soaked and trembling, stood silently, its front leg badly injured. The otter crawled up the bank, slowly approaching, its eyes filled with curiosity and worry. The wolf cub retreated, but its strength was too weak to hold on, and it collapsed to the cold ground. Seeing this, the otter made small, reassuring sounds, then dragged a large log to the wolf cub. The wolf cub hesitantly climbed up, still afraid, but the otter's eyes made it trust for the first time. The otter pushed the log into the river, swimming beside it to balance the wolf cub on it. The rain began to fall heavily. The river rose, but the otter swam strongly, his eyes filled with determination. The strong current pushed the log towards the fallen tree branch across the river. Creating a dangerous obstacle, the otter immediately dove down, using all his strength to push the log off course, helping both of them to cross safely by a hair's breadth. After a moment of tension, the wolf cub gradually relaxed, his eyes brightening when he saw the otter always by his side to protect him. Finally, the two of them landed on a soft grassy area, where the wind blew gently and the rain had stopped. The otter quickly gathered dry leaves, making a small, warm nest for the wolf cub to rest. The wolf cub lay down, gently closed its eyes, and felt safe for the first time in many days. While the wolf cub slept soundly, the otter swam back to the river, caught a fresh fish, and brought it back to place in front of the nest of leaves. The next morning, the wolf cub woke up and smelled the fragrant fish. It ate it deliciously. Its health gradually recovered. After the meal, the wolf cub stood up unsteadily, walking more steadily. Beside it was the proud eyes of the otter. When dawn broke, the wolf cub looked towards the familiar forest, turned back to thank the otter one last time and disappeared into the mist, while the otter gently dived into the river, returning to its peaceful life. In a peaceful forest valley, an old turtle was leisurely strolling through wild grass and flowers. Suddenly, the turtle stopped upon hearing a faint cry coming from deep within the forest. Without hesitation, the turtle turned and began a slow but determined journey, following the signs of broken grass, clawed soil, and scattered cries of a small creature. Through thorny branches and dense bushes, the turtle discovered a young deer trapped in a shallow pit. The fawn was scratched and terrified, struggling but unable to escape. The old turtle approached and gently reassured it with a warm, raspy voice. It began digging at the dirt with its claws, creating a sloped path for escape. The fawn tried to climb but fell back, exhausted and in pain. Unfazed, the turtle continued digging, widening the path to make it easier. With gentle encouragement, the fawn tried again, trembling but determined. Finally, it succeeded, climbing over the edge and collapsing onto safe ground. The turtle lay beside it, breathing slowly and peacefully, eyes filled with relief. The turtle gently placed leaves and moss over the fawn's wounds, caring with utmost tenderness. As night fell, the turtle guided the fawn to a nearby stream where it drank and recovered. They lay side by side in the calm night, fireflies flickering in the forest around them. The next morning, the fawn was stronger, walking steadily beside its savior. A familiar call echoed. It was the fawn's mother searching for it. The fawn ran off, reunited in joyful relief, but turned back to look at the turtle one last time. The turtle gave a gentle nod, then returned to its valley, always ready to help again. A shepherd dog was resting on the porch of a wooden house when it heard a faint cry in the distance. Without hesitation, it jumped up and dashed down the hill, heading toward the dark forest. At the forest's edge, the dog listened carefully, then rushed deep inside, following the sound of pain. It discovered a young deer trapped in a deep pit, its hind leg entangled in vines. As the dog looked for a way to rescue the deer, it noticed a wolf approaching from behind. In a tense moment, the dog turned and growled fiercely to protect the fawn. A fierce battle erupted between the dog and the wolf, intense and wild in the dark forest. Finally, the dog drove the wolf away, forcing it to retreat into the shadows. Returning to the pit, the dog used a rope tied to its side to plan the rescue. Carefully, it wrapped the rope around the deer's belly and began to pull with all its strength. The fawn nearly slipped back, but the dog held firm, pulling without pause. With tireless effort, the deer was finally pulled to safety. Both collapsed onto the ground, panting under the moonlight shining over the quiet forest. The dog gently licked the wound on the deer's leg, comforting it. Then, the dog led the fawn through the forest to find a safer place. They crossed a small stream, the moonlight lighting their path ahead. They stopped at a wide grassy field, a peaceful place free from danger. The fawn heard a familiar call from its mother, cried out joyfully, and ran toward it. Before leaving, the fawn turned to look at the dog, its eyes shimmering with gratitude. The dog returned to the porch, lay down, and breathed peacefully, knowing it had done the right thing. One quiet early morning, a red fox was hunting in the reed field when it heard a faint cry from the direction of the lake. The fox stopped, listened carefully, and immediately ran toward the strange sound. At the lake's edge, the fox discovered a white crane with a broken wing, trapped in the muddy shallows. The crane was exhausted, struggling but unable to free itself. The fox didn't rush over immediately. Instead, it stood still to assure the crane it wasn't a threat. Step by step, the fox approached slowly, lowering its head gently under the crane's cautious gaze. After examining the injury, the fox softly licked the torn wing to clean it. It found soft leaves and moss, placing them gently on the wound to soothe the crane and help it breathe more calmly. Looking around, the fox dragged a rotting tree trunk to make a stretcher. Using its muzzle and shoulders, it lifted the crane onto the stretcher and began pulling it across the slippery mud. Suddenly, the stretcher slipped into a shallow waterhole, and both nearly fell. The fox strained with all its strength to pull back, keeping the trunk from drifting. After great effort, they both reached dry land safely. Exhausted and covered in mud, the fox found a wind-sheltered stone cave for the crane to rest in. For many days, the fox hunted fish and fed the crane bite by bite. The injured wing was secured with branches and vines as a simple splint. As the crane recovered, it began to walk slowly beside the fox. One morning, the crane looked up at the blue sky, longing to fly again. Before leaving, the crane gently touched its beak to the fox's forehead as a gesture of thanks. The crane slowly soared into the sky, while the fox returned to the forest, peaceful and no longer alone.